Dr. Sarah Chen had exactly 3 rules for surviving as the only human xenobiologist on Outpost Thetis. Don't ask questions you don't want answered. Don't touch anything that glows. And absolutely, under no circumstances, make friends with the Dracorian security chief. She'd broken rule number 3 approximately 47 seconds after meeting Commander Azira. "You are the human scientist," Azira had asked, her voice a low rumble that Sarah felt in her bones. The Dracorian stood nearly 8 feet tall, her scaled skin shifting between deep crimson and burnt orange depending on the light. Twin horns curved back from her forehead, and her amber eyes, slitted like a predator's, had fixed on Sarah with unsettling intensity. "That's me," Sarah had replied, trying not to stare at the warrior's physique. Dracorians were built for combat, all corded muscle and lethal grace. Dr. Sarah Chen, xenobiology specialist. "And you must be the security chief everyone's been warning me about." Azira's scaled lip had curled, revealing sharp teeth. "Warning you. They said you eat humans who ask too many questions." For a long, terrifying moment, Azira had just stared. Then she'd laughed, a sound like distant thunder. "I like you, little human. You will be easy to protect." That had been 6 months ago. Now Sarah couldn't imagine life on the outpost without Azira's constant, somewhat overwhelming presence. "You are working late again," Azira said, materializing in the doorway of Sarah's lab like a 7.5-foot tall nightmare wrapped in security armor. Sarah jumped, nearly dropping her sample vials. "Holy Azira! You can't just sneak up on people like that!" "I did not sneak. You were simply too focused to notice my approach." Azira moved into the lab with that predatory grace that made Sarah's hindbrain scream danger, even as her higher functions noted the warrior's careful movements around her delicate equipment. "It is past midnight station time. You should rest." "I'm fine. Just finishing up some analysis on the samples from Sector 7. Azira's amber eyes narrowed. "The samples from the restricted zone. The zone I specifically told you was too dangerous for solo collection." "Well, technically, I wasn't solo. I had Robocart 3 with me. A collection drone is not adequate protection." "Good thing I have you as my bodyguard then," Sarah said with a grin, turning back to her microscope. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Sarah glanced back to find Azira's scales had shifted to a deep, dark red she'd never seen before. The warrior's clawed hands flexed at her sides. "What did you call me?" Azira's voice was dangerously quiet. Sarah's brain caught up with her mouth. I was joking. You're always protecting me, watching over me, so I thought, I am not your bodyguard, Sarah Chen." Azira moved closer, and Sarah found herself backed against her lab table, the warrior looming over her. "A bodyguard is hired, paid, dismissed when no longer needed." Her scaled hand came up, gentle despite the claws, tilting Sarah's chin up. "You are mine to guard." "There is a difference." Sarah's heart was hammering. "What? What kind of difference?" "A bodyguard protects out of duty. I protect you because the thought of harm coming to you makes my blood burn with rage. Because your scent calms my warrior instincts. Because," Azira stopped, something vulnerable flickering in those predatory eyes. "Because in my culture, when a warrior claims someone as mine to guard, it is a declaration of bonding intent." The lab was very quiet except for the hum of equipment and Sarah's racing heartbeat. "Bonding intent?" Sarah repeated. Azin, I wish to be your mate, your partner. Your," Azira's scales rippled with color, "your wife, as humans say." Sarah's brain short-circuited. "What? Since when?" "Since the first week you arrived. You walked into the security briefing, looked directly at me without fear, and asked if my horns were sensitive or if you could take measurements for your xenobiology database." A rumbling sound came from Azira's chest that might have been a laugh. "No one had ever asked to measure me before. They usually just run." "Well, scientifically speaking, you're fascinating. The scale patterns alone," Sarah caught herself. 6 months. "You've been courting me?" "For 6 months. Dracorian courtship is complex. We do not rush. We observe, protect, prove our worth as guardians and providers." Azira's expression turned almost shy. "I have been bringing you meals when you forget to eat, adjusting the lab temperature to your preferred settings, ensuring you have access to the best research equipment, eliminating threats before you even know they exist." Sarah thought back over the past months, the mysterious improvements to her lab, the way hazardous situations seemed to resolve themselves before she encountered them, the perfectly timed deliveries of her favorite tea from Earth, which should have been impossible to get on a remote outpost. "That was all you?" "Yes, even the thing with the reactor leak last month that no one will talk about." Azira's scales shifted to a pleased orange. "There were 7 saboteurs attempting to cause a meltdown. They will not trouble anyone again? 7? Sarah decided she didn't want to know. Okay. So you've been, what, trying to prove your good mate material? Yes, though I had not planned to declare my intentions so directly. Dracorian courtship traditionally takes years. But when you called me your bodyguard, her scales rippled with agitation. I could not allow you to misunderstand my role in your life. Sarah should have been terrified. Should have run. Should have reported this to station command. Instead, she found herself asking, what does being your mate actually mean? Azira's eyes brightened. It means you would be under my protection for life. No harm would ever reach you. I would hunt for you, fight for you, die for you if necessary. It means, her voice softened, it means you would be the most precious thing in my existence. The treasure I guard above all others. That's intense. Dracorians do not love halfway, Sarah. When we bond, it is absolute, total, eternal. Azira stepped back, giving Sarah space. But I understand humans bond differently. You prefer courtship rituals involving flowers and what you call dates. I have been researching. If you wish, I can attempt a more human approach. Azira. Sarah interrupted. You fought off 7 saboteurs to protect me. They threatened you. They threatened the outpost. They could not be allowed to succeed. And you've been secretly taking care of me for 6 months. It is what a worthy mate does. And if I said yes to this bonding thing, you'd what, protect me forever? Until my last breath ceases and my scales turn to dust. No hesitation. No doubt. Sarah looked at the towering alien warrior who'd somehow impossibly worked her way into Sarah's daily life. Who brought her tea and adjusted the temperature and eliminated threats Sarah never even knew existed. Who looked at her like she was something precious rather than fragile. Can I ask you something? Sarah said. Anything. That first day when you said I'd be easy to protect, did you mean easy like I'm weak? Azira's laugh rumbled through the lab. No, little scientist. I meant easy because from the moment you smiled at me without fear, I knew I would never let anything harm you. Not because you are weak. Her clawed hand gently touched Sarah's cheek, but because you became mine to guard in that instant, and I take my responsibilities very seriously. Sarah leaned into that touch, feeling the warmth of Azira's scales. You know this is insane, right? We've known each other 6 months. We're different species. I'm pretty sure there's like 50 regulations against this. 63 regulations, actually. I checked. Of course you... Sarah laughed. And you're still okay with breaking all of them? For you. Azira's amber eyes burned with intensity. I would break galaxies. And that, Sarah thought, was probably the most romantic thing anyone had ever said to her. Even if it was also slightly terrifying. I have questions, Sarah said. So many questions. About Dracorian biology, bonding processes, cultural expectations. I will answer every question you have. We have time. And I'm not ready to say yes. Not yet. This is huge and scary and I need to think. I understand. I will wait. I am patient when the treasure is worth guarding. Sarah smiled. But maybe we could try one of those human date things. See if we actually like spending time together outside of you protecting me from saboteurs and me rambling about xenobiology. The way Azira's scales shifted to brilliant gold made Sarah's breath catch. You wish to court me? I wish to get to know you. The real you, not just my mysterious guardian who lurks in shadows and fights bad guys. I do not lurk. I maintain strategic positioning. You lurk. It's adorable. Azira made a sound like a growl and a purr combined. You are the first being in the galaxy to call a Dracorian warrior adorable and survive. Good thing I'm yours to guard then, Sarah said, and watched with fascination as Azira's scales rippled through a dozen shades of warm colors. You will be the death of me, Sarah Chen. Nah, I'm a scientist. I'll keep you alive just to study you. This is acceptable to me. 3 days later, Sarah found herself in the outpost observation deck, looking out at the stars while Azira attempted to explain Dracorian courtship rituals. It involved a lot of ritualized combat displays and temperature regulation, which was both bizarre and oddly touching. So you've been adjusting my lab temperature as a courtship gesture? Sarah asked, amused. Temperature regulation is an important sign of a mate's ability to provide comfort. Too many humans suffer in spaces not designed for their biology. That's actually really sweet. Azira's scales flushed pleased orange. I am attempting this sweet, human approach. Is it working? Sarah looked at the massive warrior who was trying so hard to understand human customs, who protected her without smothering her, who looked at her like she was the most important discovery in the galaxy. Yeah, Sarah said softly. It's working. Azira's responding smile showed all her sharp teeth, but Sarah wasn't afraid. She was too busy being fascinated by the way the warrior's scales shifted colors with her emotions, too interested in learning everything about this incredible being who'd chosen her. "Can I ask one more thing?" Sarah said. "Always. When you said I'm yours to guard, does that mean you're mine to guard too? Does it work both ways?" Azira looked stunned. Then, slowly, reverently, she took Sarah's hand in her clawed one. "I have never considered. Yes, Sarah Chen, I am yours to guard as well. In all ways. Always." And standing there in the observation deck, hands joined despite their differences, Sarah thought maybe breaking a few rules was worth it. Especially when the reward was someone who looked at you like you were their entire universe. Even if that someone happened to be a 7.5-foot tall alien warrior with a tendency to eliminate threats and lurk in shadows. Sarah wouldn't have it any other way.